Hi, everyone. I'm Courtney Sale, the Nancy L. Donahue Artistic Director at MRT, and I'm so delighted that I'm joined by the wonderful Steven Dietz, who is one of the most widely produced playwrights in the country, award-winning writer, who I've had the great privilege of directing many of his plays, and also being a former student, and just a long relationship with you, Mr. Dietz. Thank you for being here. We're really grateful.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so at MRT, the center of our mission is about new works. And so I'm on this series and quest about, in this chaotic time, what's the thing that we get to work on? And for me, I feel like that's for us to listen better. We have a real opportunity in this format to do that. Yeah. And so thanks for making some time so we can listen better.
Likewise, thank you.
I want to talk to you about, I think people have a perception about how plays are made, that folks squirrel away, writers squirrel away, and poof, a play happens. Yeah. And I wondered if you would maybe talk a little bit about the rhythm of developing work and maybe how that's different from play to play.
Yeah, well, it is different from play to play, as you know very well, and the plays that we've done together. I think I'm right there with you on this mythology. I think there's this notion that a new play is sick or flawed or ill, and then every now and then a new play gets magically good and goes to Broadway or something like that. I think that metaphor is completely wrong. I think a new play is hungry. I think a new play wants nourishment. A new play it's like a garden. It's like a meal. It wants attention. It wants to be tended to. And the great opportunity that you and I and the artists that work on new plays have is we get to participate in that tending and that nourishment and that attention. And then the gift you give to your MRT audience members is they get to be the first person to have that meal. They get to be the first person to pick that flower. And then they'll tell us, and you and I are very avid about soliciting candid feedback and really having a conversation about it. Then we get to have that conversation.
Those meals look different and those gardens look different.
Yeah.
Can you, do you know what you're capable of when you sit down to write something?
I know. I don't know what the story is capable of. Actually, that's a great question. My fear is that I will stop at the end of my capabilities, and I will stop there, and then that play will be kind of as good as the last play. And it's not a straight up curve, at least in my, or a line in my plays of each play gets a little bit better. Each play gets a little bit different, and it's a different mechanism. It's a different blueprint. I do think, because I'm both stubborn and an optimist, and you know those things about me, I do believe that that I'm capable of a story I haven't written yet. And I think every writer attacks that differently. Richard Nelson is going to keep writing about that one family in New York, and that's going to pull new stories out of him. I think, as you know, what I've done is just I change genres, I change stories, I write political stuff, I write plays for young audiences. That to me is hopefully pointing me towards a play a story that I'm capable of, but I haven't gotten there yet.
If you had to cast a spell to pull out the perfect ingredients in terms of what holds making that play?
I require. Well, I am gonna answer your question, but I'm gonna say that my buddy, who's a very well-known shaman in Minneapolis, his teacher always said that every great achievement requires great faith, great commitment, and great doubt. And that's a surprising word to me in that metric. But as I look at you, as I think about my great collaborators, there was great faith in me, and which I needed, just to be candid. There was great commitment to whatever I was willing to do. And there was a requisite and really palpable sense of doubt, like, Dietz, I don't know. I don't know if you've got that, or I don't know if I'm the right actor. I'm not sure if this is the right design. And that doubt, to me, does a lot of things. For one thing, it helps the story. The doubt always helps a story. But it also punctures the bubble, because as you know, we can get in a little bubble and we can we think everybody has Thanksgiving this way, or everything is perfect in our play. And audiences, if nothing else, are the fantastic theatrical mechanism to burst our bubble and say, no, this is what you're actually making. And so I think collaborators can do that as well.
So I have an actor friend who talks about when he's in rehearsal, he is not only the higher purpose of the storytelling, but that he's crafting an experience for himself that he has to make every night of the play. And I like applying that metaphor to playwriting, like thinking about that you are crafting this experience that's going to go in lots of different theaters, have lots of different iterations, which is something also I think, as always, I've appreciated and admired about you, because that's when you know if your plays are, how strong your plays are. And I guess I want you to speak about, there's something to me about asking new work audiences like a similar personal cost or stake in what they're doing.
I'm with you. We could talk about this for a long time. Something you touched on is really alive to me in that notion, which is that I do not believe there's a definitive production of a play. A movie is a definitive event. That's what we edited, that's what we shot, that's what so-and-so acted in 5 years ago. Your audiences are seeing every night the definitive production of that play. They're seeing what your actor friend brought that night that they didn't or couldn't bring any other night. The glorious discoveries and the lines that were dropped, or the cue that ran wrong. So I think that's a really key thing. It's the mystery to me in the sort of regional theater versus New York tension. I celebrate all theater everywhere all the time, but the notion, if you saw a great production of that play at MRT or at the Pittsburgh Public or at a little theater in Seattle, you don't let anyone say to you, yeah, but I saw it in New York. You saw the definitive production because you have that experience. And I think that, I mean, it goes back to the first metaphor that we use, that you're the person invited to this table tonight, and it's a leap of faith, as you know, as your subscribers know. We're going to take a leap of faith. We're going to trust the host. We're going to go to her house, and then there's something. I bet there's something Courtney Sale wants to talk about in this month, and that's what and her colleagues, and that's what we're going to talk
about. Okay, this is the last question.
Oh my God.
I know. So humans are really bad at predicting the future.
Clearly.
And really bad. And also, we also do the thing where we predict it and then we, wring our hands because it isn't going the way we wanted to go. And so as I said at the top, the thing that this moment is asking us is we get to have new ways of thinking and new ways of listening and developing new skills. And I just wonder for you right now, like, what's the thing that's feeding your playwright soul?
Well, first of all, you probably know I'm going to say this, is that it's my responsibility to feed my playwright soul. So I would worry about myself if I suddenly said, oh my God, there's this big thing happened. I need to feed my playwright soul with this. My job is to do that on the most boring day. And I'm so ready for the most boring day. I'm so ready for what Emily wants in our town. I'm so ready for the average. I want to go back to the average day. Probably many of us do. It feeds my soul that there's going to be a new dominant metaphor. I don't know what that is. I think we are woefully inept at figuring out the dominant metaphor at any given time. But I really believe that artists exist within some dominant metaphor, and it's not an issue. It's not, the big issue might be immigration, but then the dominant metaphor then might be otherness, or it might, you know what I mean? That, and I can't name what it is. I couldn't have named what it was in January. I certainly can't name what it will be coming up, but I think I'm trying to listen, and I'm trying to pay attention to, and my dominant metaphor may not be the same as yours, but how it manifests in me. And then I think as artists, we either, there's work to be done inside that metaphor, and then there's work to be done pushing against it or pushing back against it. And so it's a time of great mystery. It's a time of great doubt. And I'm noodling on some new plays, partly because that's my joy and that's my job. But I'm also trying to listen. I'm trying to listen to the moment. Frankly, I'm not listening to other people that much. Candidly, I'm not canvassing what do people think there should be a play about, although I'd have that conversation with you whenever you want to have it. I'm trying to listen to me, like what I'm living differently now. How will that manifest?
Yeah. Steven, I could hang out on Zoom with you all day.
You and me both, but it would get, you'd get tired. I'd have to go walk my dog or something.
Thank you so much. It means a lot, and it's good to see you, and love to everybody there.
Thank you. It's great to see you. Hello to all your audiences. God bless you.